Well, I didn't know you were going to do that because you're not a very good streamer.
Ouch. 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 And ouch. That hurt, man.
Perfect timing.
Well, you said it kind of quietly, and I hadn't switched over the channel that the music was on, so the music was still louder at the time. So maybe it drowned you out and nobody heard you. Maybe.
No, it was definitely
You
audible
can
if
hope.
you were listening.
You can hope.
See?
Oh no,
Say
it's
no.
actually, yeah. He can hear.
Well, to be fair though, it's Steve. Steve probably has our individual homes tapped. You know what I mean?
To be fair, it would make
mean,
sense that
fair.
Scott wouldn't have his audio settings right.
No, I have to press 3 buttons at the same time, and sometimes the program lags a little. But be nice to me. I have to stand because I have a golf ball in my ass. So.
And you also have that like other thing as well, right? Other than the golf ball, literally, that you put up your bum the other day.
What do you call them? Aubergines? Is that
Eggplant?
Eggplant, yeah.
You call them eggplants.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Eggplants are aubergines, yeah.
Yeah. That thing.
And don't you call the courgette zucchini?
I know what a zucchini is. I'm not sure what a courgette is.
A courgette is a zucchini.
But zucchini is a much more fun word than courgette. One sounds French.
I will say,
They
zucchini
both
is a
sound
fun
French.
word.
So when you watched Avengers and there was that joke, you and Ben are better not be playing hide the zucchini, did that go over your head?
No, because I can understand more than like just my base form of English.
So what you mean is that America is better in every way, and so you get saturated by our media because you're welcome.
You have to make the media for the dumbest people out there.
Okay.
So it has to be in American
That
English.
is that is, and such is the death of many shows that should live, but don't.
Like Firefly and Dollhouse and stuff like that. Yep. I hear you. Ouch, by the way. So accurate.
Music's a bit loud, Scott.
Is it? Okay. Who said that?
John.
Hoi vey.
Jean. Let me just check it out. Shouldn't be. Yeah, it's kept at 1%. So it should be the same.
Maybe you're too quiet.
No, I'm never too quiet. Though I did turn myself down recently because for one of the shows, people were complaining that I was quiet.
You just can't really,
So
you can't really get it right, can you?
Well, no, it's just it's an adjustment for every single stream because different casts have different microphones,
Yeah,
different
you're a bit
volumes,
quiet,
different.
Scott.
Am I okay? I could pump me up easy. That one's easy to do. Boop.
Scott's
really easy
trying to
to
get it
pump
up.
yourself up.
Okay,
Got
listen.
to pump it up.
Does anybody want to get to the game now? Because this has been just a little awkward opening for 3 minutes and 11 seconds.
I mean, you started it off with making a joke about Cell keeping it up, so I thought we'd all keep it up.
I wasn't live. I wasn't record. Like YouTube didn't have to hear that. You know, like I spared Cell from all
YouTube knows now.
all those YouTube viewers.
Too late.
That whole like 45 views. So no.
Damn.
Anyways, so all right.
Right, what happened last week then?
Neil talked.
We went to Haudgwen, and we heroically defended a breach in the wall.
True.
At which point we went to another breach in the wall.
There was no wall over
The
there.
entire side where they decided we don't need a wall.
They never put a wall there because they didn't worry about zombies before. There's a river.
And then we defeated an entire horde heroically, as you do.
By we, you mean the hero of Herod.
I mean,
No, it was a joint effort, even if the commoners don't see it that way.
Tess, you're too modest, please. We all know what happened here.
After which, we went through the portal and said, oh my god, Paradel soldiers were killed and dragged through our portal. And then Dwayne arrived and said, what's up? Here's 6 BP? 6 BP?
It was a lot.
3
BP.
BP.
6
Useless. Rubbish.
Fuck, I remember what I
6
wanted
each,
to talk to you
I remember
about,
it's 12
Scott.
BP actually. And told us that the northern, the Devil Keep, don't know why people refer to it as that really, very peculiar. The Blade Keep.
They call it the Bone Keep.
The Blade Keep was infested with the lowest of the low sort of vermin, Perrin soldiers.
He means the nation, not the race. Come on, people.
Yeah, come on. Don't. Jesus. These viewers.
Has anybody noticed William has his signature watermelon? It actually didn't feel like Will had awoken yet. He wasn't actually getting into his character role, his RP ability yet, because he hadn't had his watermelon, you know?
Yeah, you need watermelon to play D&D. It's just a fact.
I think that was everything that happened.
Yeah, that was literally everything that happened.
No. And of note, when Nathan touches people, things come over him.
Nathan is now just staying 6 feet away from people and not. He's like bowing.
He's adhering to social
not
distancing.
shaking hands.
Yeah. So he touched Ilan, and his little fire elemental turned into a
positive
Rainbow.
energy elemental.
A light
No,
elemental.
it was specifically like it had.
Scintillation.
Yes. There's it's noted because that's important, as well as what it did with Rayron, with it turns into ash, not negative.
So a light
Difference.
elemental.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
So,
There you go.
at the tail end of all of that, what you boys did was, again, you like you said, spoke with Dwayne. You were told that there was somebody by the name of Mog that wanted to speak with you. You were told that there was a bird man that wanted to speak with you guys. God, I really wish. I'm talking about all my
I
casts
remember
right
the
now.
bird man.
Yeah, that he wanted to talk to you. Yeah, but you've never met him before.
I
I'm
don't
literally
remember Mog.
for the viewers.
I remember Birdman.
For the viewers, I'm actually literally trying to compile a list of all the NPCs from the different campaigns just because my name is terrible. So I'm literally filling out a sheet right now. And so I'm asking all my cast members, like, when you come up with names during breaks, tell them to me so I can write them here. So if you guys can remember the Birdman's name, that'd be amazing. If you can't, don't worry about it. I'll just come up with one because I'm terrible. Moving on, you wanted to talk, Mog wanted to speak with you. He said it was very urgent. Not with you, my apologies, with you. And by you, I mean one or Grishka. The Birdman wanted to speak with you, and some of the advisors actually wanted to have individual conversations with you as well. Was there anybody else? I don't think so. Perfect. Okay, so then that night you guys were drinking and being merry and enjoying yourselves. I'm very glad that you did that. Hey, can you remind me who had to make fortitude saves in the past? Oh, that's right. It was Rayron. And I believe it was.
Oh fuck!
Yeah, I believe it was Rayron and Ilan. Now, if I remember correctly,
That was it.
Oh, Nathan. If I remember correctly, I think it was
Yeah, I didn't get
Rayron
bitten by a fast one.
that rolled a 13 and was happy with it, right? Rayron, can you do me a favor tonight and just go ahead and no reason, just roll me a fortitude save?
Are you ready for the first roll, the first natty 20
Hold on,
of the session?
before you roll that, actually, hey, chat,
Too
should
late.
I be allowed to? No. Oh, God. Okay, so 17. Are you comfortable with your 17?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I was going to say, chat, can I roll a daddy's dice before he makes his roll to see if I can increase the DC? That'd be sexy.
Ooh, that'd be cruel.
That'd be evil.
Now, the way it goes
What was
is-
the DC before? Let's say it was 14 before. So it probably went up to a 15 or 16 this time.
Maybe, but either way, like we said, you guys had some drinks. You enjoyed your evening. You had fun with Dwayne and some of the other advisors. I actually imagine that Nathan, while perhaps choosing not to shake hands with others out of just concern, and I don't know whether or not he'd express that. As
He's
a
like,
person,
oh, my hands are full of watermelon. Sorry, guys, can't.
So you, Nathan, would you have spent time with the individual advisors, getting to know any of them particularly, or what would Nathan's actually like while they're off philandering with the people that are just designed to make them feel good with pomp and pageantry? What would Nathan do?
I would probably be very to myself, with the exception of Elliot. I would probably try to speak with Elliot to kind of gauge if he knows more about potentially what's going on with me. I'm not going to be like, hey, this is happening. What's going on with me? It's going to be more like light stuff and,
Friend of mine,
Friend of
had this
mine,
problem.
yeah. He's not going to be so obvious about it, I don't know how well he would do with it, but he's gonna basically try to get any information remotely around it so he can do some thinking.
So you're gonna try to be a little discreet in your investigation?
Yes.
Cool. Give me 2 seconds. Will, first and foremost, you're loud as F compared to the other boys. Yeah, and you don't have to go way out there because you don't want to lose. You don't have to cut in and out. But oh man, your input. I don't know if you could change your input under settings on Windows.
On Zoom or Windows?
No, Windows. Yeah. Do you know how to do that or no?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So keep the microphone close by because it has a good reception or whatever. But
Well, I mean, is it still picking me up out here?
yeah, it is a bit tinny,
It's
but
not got the force behind it though.
yeah. So just so you're aware. Anyways, so you want to go and try to have a conversation with Elliot and trying to be a little bit discreet. So kind of as you had said, it'd be one of those, approach and it's kind of like, so, how was your tour of the, so Elliot kind of coming up to you and talking. It'd be one of those, so how was your tour of the land? And you can see that Elliot has had a couple of drinks. And so he's got like a little bit of like a gloss and rose to him at the moment, but he's not, he's probably not completely bombed, but definitely is feeling a bit tipsy. You know what I mean? He'd be like, so how was your tour of the lands? Since you got your position, you got an opportunity to see the breath of Kurzfall and Valoran.
Well, I've enjoyed it for the most part. I do like this land a lot. I think there's something special about it. I'm finding new things every day.
Like what? He says. It's an interest of mine of the different things that we've been able to discover here. It's one of my passions to learn about the different types of magics and how they affect people and the peoples that have used them.
If he's being so like upfront to the point where it's like he's basically without knowing directly asking me, I guess I would probably cave to that too, because he seems to be the guy who would know. And I would say well, actually the magic seems to be affecting not only me but potentially my Eidolons and my connections with them.
My Eidolons, he's like, oh, those fantastic creatures you were able to summon in the courtyard.
Yeah, I've been able to always summon a variety, one for each element. But as of recent, it seems as though I might be able to bring forth others. He says, like, with a questioning look. Trying to, like, I guess, read his face to see.
Do me a favor. You can roll me a sense motive. Oh.
Damn.
Oh. You know that Elliot is a inquisitive sort. He's kind-hearted, but genuinely, if something piques his interest because it's either strange, unusual, or just happens to fall into the category of things that he's always been interested in, he doesn't like to necessarily put it down and walk away. He likes to follow through. He's a very, very thorough person, seeing things to the end. So you've piqued his interest, and so you can see that with his, again, tipsy, so somewhat sloppy way of it, though he's not somebody that can't hold his liquor. He certainly knows his way around the bottle. He's just like, ooh, you've piqued my interest. Let's have this fun conversation as opposed to the state affairs they're talking about, because truth be told, state affairs are not his primary, secondary, or tertiary interest. They're just important to him for other reasons, you know? So he's interested, and he's like, what kind of creatures? How many can you summon? Can you show me an example?
I would interject with, I'm honestly not sure yet. I'm still trying to figure it out myself.
Nods. Well, what kind of creatures have you been able to create as of late, and how recently?
I personally haven't created any. It more so just kind of happened. I touched the hero, and my fire Eidolon.
When you say that, he says, kind of like turning out, which hero? To the room of.
He like put points like over his shoulder and like The one that's like called Hero. I was introduced to him as Hero.
Oh, Hero of Herod, I guess. Is the
Yeah,
title.
that one.
He nods. Elliot knows of him less than most others, but he's like, yes, that's his title.
He touched my hand in an embrace to meet him, and as he did, my connection to my fire Eidolon faded and a new Eidolon appeared. An Eidolon of which I've never met before. I don't know what he could do, but I can only assume it was an Eidolon of some type of lightness or goodness.
So you had said there were elements, or what you were able to kind of gather before.
Mhm.
Are there elements of elementals or elements or what have you of good? I've never discovered such things.
Would my character be pretty well versed in the planes or no?
What is your skill on that one?
Not good.
Do you have a rank in it?
Let's see. No, I got nothing.
If you have no rank in it, then you wouldn't be able to know it from an actual studying of the planes perspective. However, because of the way druidic circles in this region works, as you and I have discussed in the past, you can make a nature check.
Okay.
That's a good roll. So what you would know is that there are the four primary elements, right? There's the fire, water, earth, and wind, or air, sorry. I almost went, wind, water, heart. Sorry.
Oh God.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I was born in '85. You can't blame me. Anyways, so yeah, you know that the different elements are those are the primary ones. There's also belief that those particular elements can combine together to make other elements. We've discussed this beforehand, magma, stuff like that as well. We've discussed this beforehand, but overall, that's not 100% proven. You've seen definitely a combination of elements before to make things that would certainly represent those, but you don't know if they were actually individual creatures. It almost seemed like two other creatures combined, right?
Right.
And certainly things like what you had just witnessed, ash and I guess scintillation or radiance, whatever it might be. You never heard of those kinds of things.
Yeah, I would just say then in response to him that I honestly no, I don't know. It's above my pay grade. No, but
so he'll lean in and he'd say, "Well, you are a member of the council now, so there are potentially certain things that you can be made privy to that you haven't been prior. I, of course, have to get all approval from the chosen on such things because you are so new to the council and this doesn't fall under the purview of your responsibilities as of now. But let's just say that we might have a means of doing additional research on things like elementals. Maybe even have discovered certain locations in Idir that might lean to one over the other. Discoveries that I'm sure you've heard of Val or Fallen Chosen had made in his time here in his life. But we need approval from the Chosen for that.
I had a pretty good sense motive.
Yep.
Do I think that with a little bit of like a little sweet talking, I could get him to just tell me with his drunkenness?
You'd be hard pressed because Elliot is pretty loyal to the nation. However, he is also very, very, very interested because you're not technically not allowed to know these things. He just never got the official thumbs up. But you're also, my apologies. He's technically loyal, but he's also very interested in these kind of things. Again, that's to him, that's a big interest.
Right. I guess I would just like ask him, like I would just be like, well, you can tell me a little more than that, no?
Roll diplomacy for your ability.
Come on, guys, nat 20.
You're trying to turn him against us. Oh, not really, but yeah.
Okay. So we're going to counter your diplomacy with his ability to hold his,
He's drunk.
Thank you. I wasn't aware. We're going to counter that with his sense motive. Oop, oop. Let me do that.
Oh, oh, oh,
Oh.
oh,
He rolled garbage.
oh.
He rolled garbage on that one. Okay. So you say that, and he actually goes, well, we happen to discover. You can tell me a little more on that. You say, he goes, well, you're a druid of these lands, so you probably already know this anyways. We've noticed two locations, only so many miles from the capital itself, both to the east of here, that we've been able to discover thus far. One that seemingly enhanced one's ability to create, control, or manifest, maybe even summon fire. And another one, though this one wasn't tested by me yet, it was tested by only Val in his life. The same idea, but for things that manipulate acid. And just between you and me, I wouldn't be surprised if there were other locations that do similar things. But their location, where they might be in Idir, we haven't had an opportunity, unfortunately, with the war and other zombies and everything else that's going on, to explore such things. But
I would then say, well, then between you and I, and like leaning closer, getting kind of quiet, we're going to be the ones to discover them.
he nods. He says, well, it is your responsibility to patrol the lands of Valoran. Both these locations happen to be approximately 22 to 25 miles outside of the capital. One to the northeast and one to the southeast. Maybe there will be more that you can find to the east, maybe elsewhere. You're supposed to be staying within the controlled lands, but maybe within that area you might be able to discover something. You seem to be a little bit more in tune with it.
To be honest, I can spend my shifts doing what I need to do, but as a man who gets very little sleep, I think I can take my own time to discover these things on my own.
Oh no, he says, looking like so downtrodden, kind of like placing an arm on you, just like, ugh, you're not going to be another Edric, are you? That man grows more and more useless with the passing weeks.
No, I find the ability to not get sleep in my favor.
Yeah, I remember Edric saying something along those lines, but listen, whereas I've been able to pick up more than half of his responsibility to try to make sure that he is, not looked upon poorly because he's overworked in an area that's not his expertise, I am not going to be able to pick up even an iota of yours.
Would you say I've been fairly capable thus far?
Well, truth be told, you haven't been tested yet.
Well, I'll remind you of that.
He'll, same as I just did, but raise a glass and take a sip and say, so tell me, the druids, your culture, we call you druids, yes?
Just nod.
What kind of ceremonies do you have? I don't necessarily mean your rituals, because I understand much of that must be secret, but how do you pass stories to one another? Do you keep it written? Is it oral? Perhaps you do song or dance?
We have a language.
You have your own language, so you pass stories from one another orally?
Yes.
Is this done like some other tribes? And you can see he's trying to be careful with his words here, as to not be offensive, because he's not trying to equate. Yeah, he's like, as some of the tribes would do, where it's almost an orator or a keeper of ideas, or your people perhaps much more open and understanding and keep a strong recollection of the histories to the individual.
I feel when my people come to pass through here, you will get to know them a lot better by meeting with us as a whole.
Then I do have to just press the issue a smidge further. Do you have rich culture in both song and dance? Or are your people tone deaf and club-footed?
We have rich culture in song and dance, but it might not be the same song and dance you're used to.
He nods and says, I was kind of looking forward to that. Do you think, I mean, if it's not too forward for me to ask, you could give me an example of said song or dance? I'd be very interested in seeing what it is you offer. Your culture offers.
Not right now.
He looks at the room again, seeing everybody here, and says, oh, come on, but surely you'd want to put on a performance for everybody, clearly being over the top, understanding that now's a bad time.
My performance would set this place ablaze. You wouldn't enjoy that.
About 25 miles to the southeast. Maybe you should practice there.
He nods.
And
that where
That's
the
how
Mushroom
Nathan
God lives?
immolated himself. He's like, right, time to begin the dance. Moves this way. The Eidolon's arm also moves that way and just fries him. Just
were you doing like, what's your Australian boy's name there? The movie with the robot. It was like, what was that movie?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Real Steel or something like that.
Real Steel,
Oh,
yeah.
fucking
Yeah, yeah.
the Australian
With shadow
boy.
boxes.
Yeah. God, Hugh Jackman. That's his name.
Goddamn.
Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman.
Yeah,
He's
you
one
got
of the
there
only.
eventually. Oh no, chat helped you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Steve definitely missed that. Well, because he's kind of Steve's boy too. I mean, let's be serious. New Zealand is just Australia with a funny accent. They're just like the nerdy Australians. That's really all they are, right?
oh dear.
I mean, well,
Ooh.
that's
Oh
a-
no.
That's what Flight of the Conchords taught me. They taught me that Australia is like the frat party that never ended. And
Steve,
New
he said it.
Zealand's-
We didn't.
And New
Steve,
Zealand's like
he said it. We didn't.
they all
But
got.
is there a difference if you believe it?
Wait,
One
what?
of them has lost a war to emus. The other one hasn't.
To be fair though, the frat party never ended. So. Yeah, he's just not going into that hornet's nest.
Speaking of hornets' nest,
Mur-
I hear
murder
that America is now riddled with huge Asian hornets.
We have murder hornets to keep
Yeah.
us inside. The government released them to keep us inside because we were protesting like idiots.
Yes,
Please
but
tell me that is like a
I'm sure
theory
Trump
that
will
people
say it's
have.
like phase 2 of China's plan. First, they unleashed the virus. Next, they unleashed the hornets.
and third, the frogs are gonna turn you gay. So you know.
And third, oh no, they're mind
Oh, the
controlling
fucking
me.
frog's gay.
Accept all of this money into my bank account, and I'm giving them control. Oh, no. And then Trump disappears to his island.
He doesn't have an island. He
Yeah, he
does
does.
have an island.
Epstein's Island.
Okay. There's a big Trump tower on it. You know what I mean? Anyways,
There
moving on.
was at one point.
I honestly don't know, probably. So,
Ooh.
so anyways, moving on. So yeah, you guys have this fun interaction, whatever. You get a little bit of information from him, and then we can move on to the next day when Neil, when Rayburn wakes up in the morning. I mean, honestly, he feels absolutely ghoulish. You know what I mean?
How much do we heal?
What?
How much do we heal?
Every night when you have a regular night's sleep,
Yeah.
you heal just your level,
I
unless you have
would,
certain feats or abilities.
One quick thing that I would do actually before the next morning is like after everyone's gone to bed is I would try to call forth that like light elemental like Eidolon again just to see if it comes forward.
It's one of those things where you sit there and you try to do this,
Yep.
and you realize that while you're trying to do it, you can feel that the ritual is unfortunately lacking. You're missing certain elements in your ritual to be able to successfully cause this elemental to come to you. Whatever those elements might be, you're just gonna have to kind of discover that
Yep.
over time. So
It's just like studying. Yep.
Ilan would, once he's up, try and gather anyone who's still not feeling 100%, still feels injured, that sort of thing, together, to try and finish the healing for at least for now that he's rested a bit.
okay. So I imagine it's one of those, because you guys wanted to have an important meeting in the morning anyways, right? So whereas last night was just like a fun Dwayne and whatnot, the next day you could actually have a council meeting. And so it's one of those, if you're gathering after breakfast for people to meet in the council room, you can literally be like, before we begin, you know?
Knock some like finery around, a table falls over, like, oh, I've never done this indoors before.
So just to be clear, what room do you think you would do that in?
Oh no. I would let them choose. I would ask, where do we do it?
Where do you heal people? I don't know. I guess a big open room.
So the throne room.
So-
That's fine.
Throne room. Okay.
Okay. So you go into the throne room. You do that kind of like.
I imagine there's lots of light in there.
Yeah. Of course, there's natural lighting and everything. Remember that huge hole in the roof that you guys originally came in? You'd never patch that up. So
19.
Why would you?
yeah,
It's a feature.
yeah. Seriously.
So
I mean, the
okay.
forest is our canopy.
Damn.
How's does anyone need more?
I'm sorry.
Are you good now? I would have done that one, the 19. He's asking if anyone needs a little extra.
Yep. And you would do that. You just do that big boom. You don't really need to
Right.
worry about the little
Raven
extras.
looks
Anyway.
chipper, but a bit pale.
He can give you one of these just to.
No, he's actually fine.
Oh, okay. I thought you were
But
just.
he's also currently suffering from a ghoul bite. So you know.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, have you actually? If you say anything,
No,
Dylan
because he
might try
doesn't. He
something.
doesn't know. He doesn't know. He's never studied undead. It's a wound in battle. You got to keep it clean.
Undead, for the most part, were like rumors of the barren lands more than anything else. Until Jake's character came and was like, "No, they're real."
He
Oh,
sat there
that's
with like a
actually a
knife,
good
whittling a
point.
stick in front of a fire with just the firelight lighting his face, saying, "I fought them.
Would
You've
I have
never seen
encountered?
them." Sorry.
No, it's okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Would I have encountered the ghoulish ones in the defense of Harrod?
If you did, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference because you would just kind of wade out there and go boom.
That's true, actually. Yeah. Okay, never mind then.
Okay. So let's say that in the morning you have your breakfast and you call together the council of the actual members that happen to be about. Just to be clear, or unless you wanted to, as opposed to a council meeting, unless you wanted to talk to the other persons that were waiting to speak with you. To be clear, and I don't know if you want to write this down or note it in some way, these are the council members that are currently at home with you. Obviously, the Chosen are there. You currently have Elliot's that is there. You currently have Retrock, Ravina, and Kithul that are there. Idric can be there. You just need to have somebody sent through the portal to collect him and come back. So he can be there within an hour or 3 hours time. Not that big of a deal. Leon and Arthur are currently abroad overseeing the armies, though there was a message sent that Leon wanted to have word with you and to have word sent to him when you were arrived. Of course, they would inform you that, and you'd say, yes, of course, you could send that message to Leon, so he could try to come back and speak with you before you left the capital again. Please.
When Raven gets up, obviously he feels bad. He got bit. Like, does it look physically bad?
When you investigate this, because obviously when you wake up in the morning, you feel like shit.
Because you probably would.
Yeah, well, it's probably one of those things where, because you imagine, obviously, you're treating yourself closer and closer and closer to royalty, right? That you probably would do the whole, before I go down for proper breakfast, I should probably, maybe a snack that's in my room when I awake, but before I go down for proper breakfast, I probably should bathe and prepare myself. During that bathing and preparation, you would actually see that the in particular wounds that you took by this other creature, the ones that you knew to be concerned about, whereas all your other wounds are on the mend well enough prior, of course, to what's his name magically healing them up. You would look and you would see that those automatically, like, they just immediately look infected. Like, you can clearly tell there's already like a bit of a raised area. There's a bit of like a redness in the area. You can already see there's a bit of a pus, so on and so forth.
With a golf ball.
Oh, God. I'm not even joking. I have to decide today if I'm calling the doctor to have him stab me in the ass or not.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be driving around with the big boss in their car on Friday for a long time, so I have to decide if I want to, have a golf
You'll feel a
ball in
lot
my
better
ass.
once you get stabbed in the ass.
God,
I would just go to the doctors, dude.
I went to the doctor and he told me it was if the cyst was smaller.
He said,
he was
"Now,
in
are
medicine."
you a giant wuss?
Yeah, well, more,
Or do you want these tablets?" And you went,
He said if it was smaller, I would say just take the medication and walk. If it was bigger, I'd say I'm stabbing you. He didn't say it like that, right? He goes, but it's in that middle area where you can decide. And I was like, well, if I can choose, and he got that face that says, I already know what kind of person I'm dealing with. And I was like, well, I figure, I'd try the medicine if that doesn't work out. He goes, well, I'm going to put you on antibiotics whether or not I do it. But you realize the antibiotics aren't guaranteed to work, whereas the other one is, and you're going to get the antibiotics either way, right? I was like, yeah. He goes, yeah, so if you don't call me tomorrow, I expect you to call me Thursday. I was like, sure. He's like, because listen, you're going to want this done before the weekend because I'm not going to see you until at least Monday after that. And do you really want to deal with it all weekend? So yeah, why don't we figure this out as soon as we can? It was one of those, like, I'm disappointed that you're making this decision. And
But I have to let you make it. Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, well, I did see a dermatologist once before because I did have a cyst once before. And they had mentioned a hot compress. And he goes, yeah. I was like, so, I figure the hot compress or something like that might be able to help as well. He goes, okay. It was like, I've never experienced a doctor that gave me a non-answer before. It was the first time meeting him. It was legit non-answer. Like, no comment. It's like, oh, this sucks. And I'm like freaking out because I'm afraid of needles and I've never actually had surgery other than like having wisdom teeth removed. So I'm wearing a mask, which I don't usually have to do until now. In a Johnny, so I'm naked in a Johnny wearing a mask. I'm having a panic attack. So I'm just trying to get through the conversation as calmly as I can. And as soon as he turns around, I like squat down and I'm like just trying to like drop my, because I'm like freaking out. I'm starting to sweat. I'm like having a panic attack. And then he turns around and I was like, yeah, so, I'm perfectly fine right now. Oh God, it was bad. Yeah. Yeah. We're all human. We're all just human. So, moving on. Where were we? That's right. You were dying.
Rarian's wounds look infected. Unlike you, he'd probably go and see a doctor.
Excuse me. I noticed an infection and I ignored it for 2 weeks. And then when I told my wife, she said, you're going to see a doctor tomorrow. And I did.
Yeah, he's not going to ignore it for 2 weeks. If they actually because he's been on literal front line of battle, he will have seen people have this exact scenario where they're like, oh, what if they take a knife to my arm? I don't want that. And then before you know it, they've got sepsis and they're dead.
I'm on antibiotics. It's called dicloxacillin.
Dicloxacillin.
Doctor's giving him the dick to treat him, boys.
Anyway.
The dick for that ass.
So, never mind. I'll let you continue with what you were doing.
Neil, so you go to see. You said a physician. What physician would you go to see?
I mean, I don't know. Do we have any doctors? That's the question.
Your state, unfortunately, whereas your country has been doing so well, it's been a year, and not like doctors of the modern conventional sense really exist. So you have people that have picked up the responsibility of being nurses, medical practitioners, so on and so forth, because of everything that's going on in the past, like, say, 6 months. But I mean, are these people officially trained inside academies, so on and so forth? Unfortunately, no. Most of them have more of like a military or just hands-on experience training. That's your best bet for a doctor.
You have 2 doctors in your party, but no worries.
I mean, you do know of doctors that happen to exist in Hadgwen, like legitimate, like trained nurses that have medical experience, a degree of supplies, so on and so forth. But you think that they're mind controlling people with smoke. So
I think during the they are mind controlling people with and it's not smoke, it's incense. I think during, like, as people are coming together for this council meeting, because like, oh yeah, we all went for healing, but like you say, he is only human. He's not gonna be like, oh, I'm really unwell, guys. So he'd like wait, and before this council meeting starts, before everyone's there, he'd speak with Elliot, because Elliot's a learned individual.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd be like, Elliot, I sustained a few wounds in that last battle in Hadgwen, and
you really need to start utilizing your position to a better advantage. It's important to be able to lead from the front. I've told you this, that it's commendable. It's certainly appreciated by the people, but But for Christ's sakes, Rayron. It's not for Christ's sakes. In the name of the martyr, Rayron, we've already lost Val. We can't chance losing you or one as well.
If I hadn't pulled those men into some sort of formation, they would have all died. Look, it's done. I understand it was foolish, but I couldn't just watch them all die. It'd be a waste. Anyway, they're looking sickly.
I think we should poll the general populace and feel what the people's opinion is for the expected life expectancy of the rulers here.
Well, probably rather less when they try to get counsel from their counselor, and instead he sasses him repeatedly.
My apologies. It's just with everything going on, seeing the two of you run headlong into combat, it's concerning. I need to air those grievances. Continue.
I'm glad you said it. I'd rather not do it, but like I said, it was a do or die anyway moment.
He nods.
Look, they look sickly. There's something not right with them. Do we have a doctor? Have you heard tell of anyone who might be able to look at the wounds?
In Kurzfall, people with a small degree of medical experience, mostly military experience in the background. Unfortunately, the best equipped doctors would be those that we know in Hodgwen, which have been actively fighting against this situation for some time, even helped to identify the infectious ones. You're not infected, are you?
Well,
Oh,
I suppose
in
it's
the
difficult to
name
say.
of the
Look,
martyr.
anyway, look, Elliot. Let's not worry one unnecessarily. I'm fine. Just go
I
to
want to keep my
Gwen,
arm.
and I don't trust the slumbering queen. You are correct, but she keeps a fellow there, Xander. You know he helped many of us before.
Yes, I know, but he's not going to be as adequately trained as she is. He's... listen, there is rumor that where she gets her supplies from, the person she gets them from is also well versed in the art of medicine. It's possible that he can, or they can assist you, but you're not going to like who it is.
More so than the slumbering queen.
If I had to make my pick, I would choose him over the slumbering queen. Don't get me wrong, she has certainly done nothing to concern us directly, but you have your own concerns, and I'm not going to question that right now. But the farmer outside of Vigil, he produces the medicines that she uses.
The mushroom.
The Mushroom Man. Do you know the Mushroom Man who lives in Vigil Lane?
Yep, I know the mushroom man who lives down Vigil Way. Very well, summon him. Better than the slumbering queen, I suppose. But tell him if he brings any bodies and dumps them on our doorstep.
I'm not going to deliver this message.
Look, is now really the time to be pedantic?
That was my question.
Do you want me to go?
There are two options. We can...
You want me to ride there in my state?
If you don't want one to know, you're going to have to visit him versus us bringing him here. If you brought him here, one's opinion is not exactly higher than yours. He would probably... It's one of those, like, as you're kind of like having your expressions, he kind of like has to take like a half step in to make sure he still has your attention. He would probably be questioning why it is that the Mushroom Man was here in the first place, and we don't know exactly. He seems to be painfully honest, at least from some perspectives.
Fine. Make arrangements. We need to scout out Vigil. We'll make some show that we're doing that. Gather me up a few horsemen, perhaps Dwayne.
Well, he says, roll me a sense motive check.
I've missed I miss Sassy Elliot so much.
Me too. I really like Elliot.
You can see through it. You can see through it like the easiest thing. He says, well, the warden did want to take his responsibilities beyond just the controlled lands of Valoran. He had interest in exploring to the south, maybe even as far as our allies to the south. Perhaps you can bring him with you, and that would, of course, guarantee your safety and give him an opportunity to investigate the areas that were of interest to him.
He's handy in a fight. What's interested him so south? He's not another Vigilite, is he?
His face drops and says, I use her name a third time. Thank the martyr. No.
Very well. I'll speak with Nathan. Thank you. Just for now, let's just keep this between you and me.
That's going to end so well for me.
Well, worst comes to worst, I'll eat you.
Right then. Get well soon.
Ray would go and take his seat.
Damn.
Yum. All right, moving on. Perfect. If you see on these NPC on your advisor sheets, the fact that there's weird things underneath their skills, the short version is, and this is something that the patrons obviously know, of a certain tier, obviously know that the characters are actually recently converted from NPC levels to PC levels to either partially or completely, and because of that, during the conversion, certain like notations that were on the character sheets are kind of like there. So one by one, as I discovering them, deleting them. So like if I rolled bluff again, you wouldn't see that. Just in case you're like, why is there a random one there? What did I see before when he rolled that other check? You know what I mean?
Okay.
Anyways,
yeah.
So you walk into the room. Before you actually spoke to what's his name and said, "Oh, you guys look a bit injured. So would you like me?" And he goes, "What makes you feel better?" And then you can kind of go up into the council room and sit down. And so
I would note he's still wearing the goggles even now. The next day.
Oh, sure. So he's still wearing the goggles on the character. Perfect. All right. So, you are inside the council room, and do you want everybody gathered there? Did you want Idric there? Even Idric could show up if you had sent messenger early in the morning, and he came. You had the council late in the morning. Idric could be there too.
He probably needs a little rest, doesn't he?
Do you want Ilan there as well? Because Ilan's not technically a council member.
Oh, that's a good point. Thank you.
Ilan's attached to Rayrin at the moment. Rayrin will, for lack of a better word, Rayrin is he's grooming him.
He's also the only other person he knows there, really. So it's just like, I'm stick with you.
Did anybody else see a scene where like Neil was sitting behind Tesh, brushing his hair, and then like cleaned the smudge off of his cheek?
I saw more like he's sitting in his throne and Tesh is sitting in front of him, and he's just like.
Oh my god! Oh, the automatic turning chair.
Yeah.
It's a kind of kitty. It's
Yes.
Tesh.
Yes.
Welcome. How convenient for you to have arrived. How fortuitous. Oh, Tesh is a combination of a kitty cat and a mini-me.
Yes.
Tesh is also there like, ha.
This is a new one.
And this is where you say Scotty don't. All right, moving on.
Yes, I do think we summon Idric because he can have a rest here in Cursefall. He doesn't need to be in HG right now.
I mean, technically speaking, they're always all hands on deck, but I mean, they do have 4 other counselors. They could certainly make overriding decisions without him.
He's not a counselor.
Oh no, he's not a counselor. I actually have.
So he can come. He can come back now. He doesn't need to be there anymore. He can come back permanently.
That's right. He was actually taking care of their financial situations, so on and so forth.
But now they've got Declan.
Correct. So Idric will be here for the meeting. As always, he looks like hell, but he will be here for the meeting. One of the other things that you would notice about Idric, because he is not a non-combatant, is that he also was suffering some injuries from the battles beforehand. So he clearly also has some injuries from that battle.
Who was?
Idric. He's
Does
not.
he look sickly, or does he look just like
The problem is he always looks sickly. He just does. You know, it's just like looking at me. Look how pale I am. No, it's just a white balance. I actually have a tan on my face. It's kind of nice. Yay, working outside.
Yeah, it's just a flush from the fever.
I'm actually excited. I'm getting 12,000 pounds of rocks dropped off my lawn today.
Oop.
God, I'm so cheap. I'm so excited. We were like, oh, let's look at like local hardware stores, how much this costs. Fuck that. Let's look at various companies that supply hardware stores. Oh, if you're buying of this limit, you'll actually sell at, excuse me, what cost is that? Are you going to sell it to me for 1/10 what hardware stores sell it? Okay, well then. Oh, but you won't drop it where I need it. You'll drop it like an extra 60 feet away. So I have to wheelbarrow an extra 120 feet with each wheelbarrow full. I'm cool with that. I can handle it. It's just 12,000 pounds. Like, oh, so excited.
Cool story, bro.
Thanks. I'm
It's like
excited.
one of those things where a boomer like talks to you about something and you're just like,
No, I'm excited because Mike's gonna actually come visit. Because once we finish it, we actually have an outdoor space, so we can be like, hey, you stay on that half, we stay on this half. We're actually socially distanced, and we can actually spend time with friends or family. So that's one of the reasons why we're building it. It's so nice. Now, Rory, stay away from them. They're diseased. They'll kill you. Wave hi to Uncle Will. Don't go near him. Moving on. Green. You see green in chat. That is nice. Less nice. ... Oh, Green.
You should learn to let Scott finish talking before you make your judgment.
Yeah, we love you, Green. All right, continue on. You guys have the meeting. Idric shows up. He looks like hell to answer your question, Jake, but he always looks like hell. He just does. He just has injuries on top of it as well, right? 3 is also a combatant. She also gets into the thick of things. So, you know, she's not here, but she also would be like a little scuffed up if you had seen her, as well as you imagine too. But you haven't seen him personally in ages. Moving on.
fuck too.
Council meeting then, because we're doing that before a meeting with other people, because it's nice to get that out of the way. I suppose the meeting begins. Who wants to kick it off, Neil? Or do you want one of the NPCs to?
Yeah, let's have an NPC do it. I always do it.
Awesome. So we'll actually have, give me one moment. I don't think I ever got a final on that. Give me like 10 seconds.
Give me like 10 seconds, gets down on his knees.
Time's up.
Thank you. I'm actually done. There we go. Cool. So it actually will start off specifically with Kithel.
I knew it was going to be
God.
Kissel.
Of course it's Kithel.
What's our Kithel?
3 hours later.
Everybody, can I first say what a pleasure it is to have everyone back together again,
Fucking
just like.
Would you rather I start with Ravina? Would that be better?
No, go ahead.
I'll let you choose, Ravina or Kithel, your choice.
Kithel.
Yeah, save best to last. No, I didn't mean that, Kissel. Love you, dude.
Just start.
Chosen counselors and Elin.
Okay.
Dylan pisses himself. Not actually.
That was good.
That was great.
What a great rear-end. That's when the devil corruption's really taken hold.
Kithel
The
unplugged.
mix of the zombie and devil
Unplugged.
corruption are fighting.
Chosen counselors and Ilin. Myself, as well as a few others, have been discussing certain matters of importance for Kurzfall and all of Valoran. Neil's like dying right now.
Are you okay, Neil? Are you okay, Neil? Are you okay, Neil?
Oh, the echo.
It was like the initial laughter, and then you stopped, and then you started again, and it like went on for more than 10 seconds. I was like, "Oh shit, we're doing it, boys."
I am 100% okay with this.
You gonna be okay, Neil?
Yeah. Go for it.
Like when Maggie had the voice mod for the robot in Star Wars in the Star Wars campaign. I loved it.
Oh yeah. What's a T3R4? Is that what
Yeah.
her name was? That was it. Fuck her. I don't know if you remember, but
No, I remember.
You mean
Shit.
you mean fuck it? It's a robot.
oh no, she had a personality, so I'm not gonna. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, she gendered herself, so we should respect her pronoun of choice, and you know, her name was
You know
Tara.
how we deal with that?
Get impaled? Is that what
Memory
it was?
wipe and restraining bolt.
Heart, yeah, that I tried that. And you know what people said? You're just being crazy, Kyle. Kyle, you're being a little nutty. Everything's fine, Kyle. And I was like, oh, straight to the heart, guys. Straight to the heart. Oh, God.
You're being crazy. Later that season. Shank.
Yeah, moving on.
Chosen counselors and Ilan, it has been a concern for a few of us in the leadership of Valorin, particularly for myself, the safety, the well-being of the various citizens. I have decided, and in conversations with some of the other counselors, have decided to put forward some of the funds that we personally have gathered from our own experiences prior to joining you in the creation, the foundation, and leadership of this nation, and the various bits of influence and the like that we've gathered along the way to try to put forward a degree of aid to your cause, in fact, to all of our cause. If it would please the Chosen, I would like to personally fund the construction of another wall in Kurzfall.
Make Kurzfall great again.
It would.
You had to ruin it. You had to ruin it.
Well, if that is an offer you are making, it would be foolish of us to turn it down. However, I suppose it is my duty to point out this is not a requirement that we expect of you, though we are both humbled greatly at your dedication to both our people and our nation.
Thank you. I'm not looking for appreciation. I'm looking to keep the people safe. It is my sworn responsibility to Valorin and to the people. To continue with what you've already begun, I will have construction begun as soon as possible to create a southern wall. It seems most of the forces seem to be coming from the east, and there are great numbers to the south as well. We know that there are dangers in Vigil, and we don't want Vigil's dangers coming to our borders. So I believe a southern wall would be the best decision. Beyond that, I have other interests that I've been looking to put forward. I'm not asking for permission for this one, but simply informing you that for my own enjoyment, as well as the enjoyment of the other persons here, I do intend to create and, I suppose, maintain a brewery here in the capital. It's something that I've been contemplating doing for some time. Something I contemplated doing prior to meeting the three of you when there were three of you.
Well, I wish you luck in this endeavor. What might your first brew be called? Gluggable muggable?
He frowns at that, and but in jovial spirit, just to like kind of like respond to you and kind of in kind, and says,
I have not decided the name of my first brew, but I can guarantee you the flavor will be rock solid.
Ilan would chuckle and do that sort of clap and realize the situation he's in. It's like, all seriously, oh.
I think a few people would probably laugh at that.
Snicker.
It was good. Kithel, what a lad.
With that, Ravina would actually chime in at this point. I don't think I like this one, but we'll at least try this one at first. If we hate it, then I'll just eliminate it afterwards.
I'm gonna hate it instantly, aren't I?
Uh-oh.
In continuation of what it was that Kithel was saying.
No.
I respect you for trying it, though. You know.
If they were like a tiny gnome automaton, maybe.
I'm coming for your soul,
Okay.
Ray-Ren.
I'm getting a call from a friend.
So anyways, yeah, so the she would actually chime in and say, in continuation of what it was that Kithel was mentioning there, I actually would like to also put forward some of the funds that I brought with me from the West. Obviously, I know that I'm new here, and I've had discussions with you about why we should not trust others that immediately come into the nation. And so I hope by putting forward some of my own personal finance and the amount of effort that I do for the safety, security, and furtherance of our nation will eventually win your trust over completely. I will actually be putting forward my own funds to construct a western wall, allowing us to shore up our walls, our defenses in Kurzfall even better. I think it's important that the people that live here, which unfortunately it is here where most of the citizens of Valorant happen to live, because their other homes were taken, and, well, small towns, villages, or even just isolated homes are currently too dangerous to stay, that they know that their capital will be a shining beacon, even if under the shade of a canopy, for them to return to flee to for safety and security. Not to mention, with tall walls, it's less likely people can easily get in and out, and I can keep a closer eye on those coming in and out, and what their purposes are, why they're doing those purposes, and so on and so forth. So, it makes my job easier as well. So I just wanted to let you know that. Beyond that, actually, and she actually looks at, you can see a moment where she actually looks to Kithel for a second. So hold on one second. She actually will look to Kithel. And is there somebody else she was looking to? I thought it was. You're being a cunt, Google.
Oh my god. Google did not deserve that. You take that back.
How dare you?
Google will live.
Google will live on forever. GoogleNet is going to be the thing that destroys us. But
GoogleNet.
There was also...
Still gonna have a cool name like Skynet.
I just love the idea of like Terminators with the Google colors.
The Chrome logo in their chest.
There was also a bit of a conversation that took place between a few of us advisors. In the similar spirits of what it was we had discussed beforehand about the creation of the southern and the western wall, we also thought it might be a good idea for us to show a little bit of additional kindness to those that are suffering the most. The citizens that are often forgotten in many cities and live horrible lives where they, well, we thought maybe we could work together and pool our resources to create an orphanage for the children. Now, I know that a couple of us have worked together, and I'm still waiting to hear back from some of the other from some of the other counselors and who it is that was willing to chime in if you were on the fence. But I believe we've been able to source between our own finances the ability to construct this orphanage. So I suppose with permission to build it, and then I suppose a suggested location as to where it should be built, we would like to move ahead and well, construct an orphanage for the children that have lost their parents, no matter their age, whether they be in their teens or younger. They could use a little guidance, protect them from the evils of, well, even just their fellow citizens.
I must say, I didn't expect this from you, Ravina. No plans to use them as spies?
He
says,
you can go ahead and roll a
he
sense motive.
smiles at the end.
You can go ahead and roll a sense motive, actually.
Okay, yeah.
It's a school for gifted children.
That last bit is a joke. He's not sense motivating that, but he is sense motivating. Like, why would she want this?
Jesus.
She flatly, her face drops, and she flatly says, "No." She clearly didn't take it as much of a joke.
Yeah, that fell a bit flat. Oh well. Nonetheless, I see no reason not to help those who cannot help themselves and are in the greatest need. Particularly when you say that you've gathered the money required for this. It will simply be a matter of deciding where in the city it will need to be.
Then I imagine that you would want to have, while Kithul wanted to decide the location of his brewery, he was looking for what's going to increase revenue. She says, looking at him, somewhat jokingly, she says, we figured it would be appropriate for you to have a bit of say in where it is that a orphanage would be placed inside the city, you know, being the chosen and all.
Yes.
Something to think about.
We can decide where that will go at some point soon. Make the preparations. I can't see either of us having a problem with this.
1 second, just trying to find one more detail, because unfortunately it's so hard to type while standing. I'm so sorry. I know I'm talking to the side of my mic, which is super annoying.
You need a standing desk.
Yeah, I tried to construct this as a standing desk at one point, but then I was like, I'd rather sit most of the time. Give me 1 second to finish counting this up.
And then karma struck. Karma the size of a golf ball.
Fair enough. That's 3, 4, 5.
It says sitting down.
Yeah.
Constantly.
And then actually, the person that would chime up next would be Kithul would actually speak again, and would say,
"How much gold have these guys been sitting on? Holy moly!"
There is one more thing that we would like to do.
Assimilate.
I can't find that. Hold on. There it is.
Assimilate, 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 collect them, probe them, assimilate.
Sorry. There's one more thing we would like to do, though. This is something that we don't intend to be able to finish in the near future. With so much other construction going on for the safety and well-being of the people, we figure this might take us 2 or 3 months to complete. We figured we would inform you that we also individually chose to chip in, so many of us, to construct a library. It would be a library for a couple of reasons, a public library open to all the peoples of Cursefall. First and foremost, the shrine to Lady Orenda has been dismantled, and it has displaced and made upset a few of our citizens. Generally speaking, this would be somebody else on the council's responsibility to oversee such matters. However, that person has been rather otherwise occupied with engagements. It's something that I was able to notice because of my time that I spend in the city, and Elliot brought to my attention because it is his responsibility to speak to the people and hear their concerns. We would construct a library open to the public, and the name, for those that happen to worship Lady Orenda, but more importantly, as an homage to the Valorant. We know that a collection of knowledge, we know that it's something he would like. We haven't decided the name yet, but we know it would be an honorific to him.
The vibrary. Yes.
Wow, way to ruin the moment.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Blame my brain.
Just mute yourself so I don't have to.
Have we been mining gold that we haven't been made aware of? I must say, although I am impressed, and one should not look a gift horse in the mouth, these represent a significant investment on behalf of you all.
You can actually roll a sense motive.
Kithel's been playing the streets every night.
Does that include me?
If you'd like.
Okay.
You are sitting there. Actually, any PC can. They're all sitting there.
Ah! I beat one!
That is quite impressive.
Huzzah! It's possible to beat him on sense motive.
Okay, it would have been funny if he one-upped you.
Yeah, I
That would
was
have been
waiting
funny, yeah.
for
I
it.
wasn't gonna roll until he said it, and I was like, all right, I'll roll it.
You've all got like plus 11 modifiers. What the hell? You're
So-
so paranoid, all of you.
You know that Kithul is very much just sitting there confidently with his declarations that he's made. Ravina also seems very calm and unfazed by everything that's been said because she's just very well practiced at poise and that kind of like a professional businesswoman kind of demeanor, right? So she seems very poised and at ease with this statements being made. However, that being said, the other ones in the room, Retrock kind of shifts a little bit under his seat, looking a little bit uncomfortable because he hasn't said anything about what he was willing to spend money on at the moment. You do have Elliot is of course quietly sitting there, but doesn't look uncomfortable or anything. He's just poignantly not chiming in, something that kind of stands out for you guys rolling your 28 millions on your rolls, that he's just very much not chiming in on what it is that they're offering, so on and so forth. And then anybody else to note, Idric is sitting there like looking at all of them like, how do you have money? Like looking like like he's just exhausted. He's worked so hard all the time, and he's like, oh, do you get paid? But to
You
be fair,
motherfuckers
though,
have been holding out on me.
Idric originally showed up to the kingdom with a lot of money, and he kept nothing for
That's
himself.
true,
As
yeah.
it was like, he's like, I'm offering this as recompense, right? He's like, I brought all of this, I stole it from where I came from to give it to you as my way of saying, hey, take me for what I am, but I clearly do not want to be there, and I hear you doing something different here. So he's kind of already did that in the past, but he's sitting there like, hold on. Are we getting paid? Sort of a thing, but yeah, obviously they're on a salary, but you know what I mean? And so
Wait,
on.
they're on a salary? Damn it!
I need a raise.
But yeah, anyways, so it is kind of like that moment around the table. Ilan is probably sitting there like, oh, I wonder what that kind of stuff costs. Library, that sounds kind of nice.
Yeah, that's the thing. Ilan's check would just be like to get the personalities of people because he doesn't know any of these people yet, and like he doesn't understand how much money is being thrown around. People walked in yesterday with like piles of more money he's ever seen in his life.
It's like, ooh, I'm hanging out with the cool crowd. All right.
Yeah. Holy shit.
It's like the time you hang out with your friend. You've known him for like, I don't know, maybe like a couple years at school and you've hung out a couple times. But then he's like, hey, you want to come to my house? Like, sure. You hop in his car and you realize, oh, wow, this isn't just like a Mustang. This is like a nice Mustang. And you go to his house, you pull up and you're like, how fucking long is that driveway? And, you know, you go inside and you're like, I take my shoes off, right? Oh, you don't even care about that? Oh, boy. It's like, oh, don't worry about it. You know, Yavana will clean it up. Like, who's Yavana? Oh, she comes like 3 times a day. Like, oh, okay. Sounds like your dad's good at his job. I mean, moving on.
Oh, dear.
The answer is yes. Build all those things that will benefit the kingdom. Why are you even
Wait, so we're getting a brewery, 2 walls, an orphanage, like,
And a library.
And a library?
Fuck yes.
Holy moly.
The answer is yes.
How many souls did this cost you?
Yeah. Yes.
Excuse
What's
me.
the catch?
Excuse me. It did cost many souls. All those that you had taken during the war.
Ooh.
That's right.
Ooh.
That's right. You inspired them with your wanton murder of countless peoples. Honestly, you could probably count them. It's only Idir. To bring this place to. Plus, all of those have risen.
Rayron's riders were the most effective army.
They were.
They were really fucking good.
So,
How
anyways,
do I make them elites? No, sorry, carry on.
so moving on. Moving on. So you there is, by the way, a way, and I'm slowly working on it. It just takes what it is Leon himself, assuming he lives that long, when he gets finally to level like what 7, I think it is, he can finally take the leadership feat, and oh boy, that's where his real training begins. That's where he starts having like his elite guard army. You know, oh, it's gonna be so good. He's level 4 right now, though, so you know. Moving on. So you, this is kind of the conversation that you have with the counselors. I don't know if there's anything that the chosen want to say. One for one has been sitting there going silently, oh, thanks for the money.
Rayron speaks enough for us both a lot of the time. So I find that there's not actually much to add rather than...
Oh, look, it's one's knife in Rayron's back.
To be fair, if there's a knife in someone's back, who is going to visit who and not telling who about said visit?
I don't want to worry my husband, all right? What's so wrong with that?
Yeah, I try to use that with my wife. She gets none too pleased.
Yeah, but that's because you don't like, you're not like, oh no, I'm going to hide it from her and take the right action. You're like, I'm going to hide it and ignore it.
Yeah, but if I have to go to a doctor, I have to spend money, and I can't just be like, "Oh, by the way, I went and spent." Yeah, by the way, she would not accept that argument. She'd be like,
there you have to pay for
what?
everything.
Of course, yeah, you have to pay for both health insurance and utilizing that insurance, and taxes for having had the insurance. And
hey, Percy,
if you don't have health insurance, they charge you.
we just talked about that before you hopped on the call earlier.
So dumb. It makes no sense.
But
I can't afford insurance. I might die. You know what? Here's some more money.
It does. So we talked about this before the stream. That's no longer a law federally. That was repealed after the current office took over. But it still is in Massachusetts from when Romney was the governor here, which is the precursor to Obamacare. The short version explanation of that from a socialistic perspective as opposed to the money grab perspective is by forcing healthy people who otherwise usually wouldn't have health insurance to have health insurance, the volume of people utilizing it reduces the overall cost for persons that have to have it because of previous conditions and whatnot.
The issue too, well, the non-issue is that Massachusetts also has they basically give out healthcare for free. We have like some of like the best here's healthcare.
If you
qualify. But that's what I'm saying. There's it's quite easy to qualify in Massachusetts. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, for a lot of persons, not everybody, not even, I would say less than double digits percentage of the state but I don't have statistics to back that up. That's just a gut. So,
Yeah.
anyways, we're tangenting away from anything that's important. Because the real
This is
world,
America.
not important. You, sir, you say yes, please, all of that and more. No, greedy. Okay. So how do you guys kind of segue away, or do you say anything in response to their offerings, or?
I mean, Rowan has already said that, we're humbled by this. That was. I mean, he might repeat himself, I suppose, because he was humbled at this wall offering at the beginning, and now they're offering so much more.
All these things and more.
To be clear, one person is building a brewery so they could turn his own profit. He wants to get that ROI. You know what I'm saying? So,
I knew Kithel was into illicit substances.
I mean, I guess alcohol is illicit. So,
I mean, I'm not gonna,
Ilan's going to be a shock to you.
I'm not just going to do it because I already get enough shtick from everyone for being beautifully well spoken and eloquent. But Rayron would once again thank them for humbly for what it is that this is a significant parting of financial stuff from them, and it's also an investment, and it's also a vote of confidence. Look, we trust what you're doing, and we've got your back.
beautiful. Well, so I mean, it kind of things kind of fall a little awkward. You try to pick up the ball from there and run with it, just to be more or less, thank you. I appreciate all it is that you're doing, because I understand why it is you're doing and what it is that you're doing, and so on. And then it moves on to who else was there? My apologies. It will be Elliot's chiming in, kind of segueing away, clearing her. So there were, of course, the matters of the individuals that wanted to have conversations, seek counsel or whatnot with the. This is me not having words, not Elliot, of course. With the Chosen. Specifically, there was a man by the name of Mog that wanted to speak to the Chosen of the Blade specifically, and there was that Birdman that was of interest. He wanted to speak to you. We've had a small amount of time to discuss with him. Beforehand, he was just a person of interest that had walked into the city. Ravina had noted him before, but I actually took the time to go and converse with him. It seems as though he's not just a crazy man that walks around with a bunch of birds in cages. Apparently, he was a part of a group of anti-Paradel persons that were working in the region and the province of Vala in the past. That aside, he was actually looking to see if he can have you build for him a aviary. He was looking to have funding and a location to build an aviary, and if you were willing to sponsor that, if the state was willing to sponsor it for him to conduct his own business, then in exchange, he would allow full usage of the aviary, including a certain percentage of his birds to be dedicated to, the state, allowing you to have a better transfer of messages along greater distances, much more rapidly. He could probably go over the details a bit better with you, but certainly something that...
Very well. I say we meet them all today.
Yes. Is he wanted by Paradel?
We haven't had an opportunity to send any persons north to investigate that further. She looks your way.
I believe this falls under your purview. Find out if he's wanted.
She nods and says, if you're looking to meet with him today, I'm probably not going to be able to get a response for some time.
No, that's fine, but we should know who we have in our backyard.
Perhaps
we don't need to preemptively, if they should find he's here and he's a wanted criminal,
perhaps
we may have to hide him better, or maybe he should be
we already have
moved.
We already have one wanted person. Or at least
perhaps
not
you
wanted,
should
but
attend the meeting with this.
I think his name is Joey. I think that's what chat is telling me. His name is actually Joey. I don't
Perhaps
remember
you should
though.
attend this meeting with this Joey. You understand what it is to be hunted by Paradel. Perhaps you will register the same feeling.
I'm gonna chuck out one of these. Oh no.
Okay. So most likely Jake's if you rolled a natty 1 would still
Yep.
succeed and would see.
Yeah, I got plus 16. So
Yeah, so Ilan is looking visibly uncomfortable at this sort of conversation of being wanted by Paradel.
noticing that, I would probably turn to you and say, Hero, what? You seem to be uncomfortable. You are Perrin, you're not wanted by Paradel too, right? And he kind of chuckles.
You see him like just freeze, like deer in headlights freeze. Just I don't know. I didn't leave Paradel on the best of terms.
Rayron would note this, and he'll rush in to protect Ilan, and he'll say, "Who amongst us parted with Paradel on good terms? All of us would be wanted for one way or another."
We should know everybody, though. If Ilan has something to say, Rayron, let him say it. If he does not wish to speak about it at the moment, then that is his call.
Ravina chimes in and says, honestly, if you don't say it now, one of them will give me the order and I'll most likely find out in the near future anyways.
Before I left Parendel, in the event that caused me to leave. Oh, yeah, no, he's intimidated. In the event that caused me to leave, soldiers died.
One soldier died, I believe.
Well, I mean, one soldier died. One got a what? No, wasn't it? Two soldiers died because one had a knife thrown into them. One was incinerated.
Yep. Right.
Then,
so yeah, soldiers. Yeah. So I just wanted to make sure. 2 plural.
Yeah.
Soldiers died. Yep.
Soldiers died, and it wasn't exactly subtle. But I ran after that, and I don't know what happened.
Ravina actually chimes in before one of them do and says, were these Inclame soldiers or were they actual city guard?
They were city guard, right? If I remember right.
They were, yeah.
Yeah.
So these were
city guard.
Manel, first-class citizens.
Oh, they were Manel.
So that means that this wasn't, they likely were into innocence, or depending on your perspective, why did they die? Did you kill them directly? She says, leaning in a little. She's got that like sharp, again, I mentioned businesswoman look to her, that sharp look on her like, all right, let's make this fun.
One of them.
So multiple soldiers died, but one was directly at your fault. The other?
The one that I killed him for trying to run.
So it seems like a bit of infighting. Were you put in a place of disposition?
I was captured.
Captured because you had committed some crime? Or fugitive? She raises an eyebrow.
There's a long pause, and then I ran into the wrong person.
She narrows her eyes and says, Answer this honestly.
Oop.
Really? You're sneaking out of the room? Like,
No,
He just like
completely
lets
accidental.
one. He just lets one rip loudly, and he's like,
Yeah, he's trying to hold it a fart.
he's just trying to let it out silently.
It just all you hear is,
all right. So, anyways, break the moment. Good job, Will.
sorry.
Break the moment with your broken wind. So she says, she narrows her eyes and says, answer this honestly. Were you about to be taken into slavery as a born Perrin citizen of Paradel?
I think so. I don't know what was supposed to happen, but that's not what ended up happening.
Roll a sense motive, boys and girls.
Damn.
Looks like
Damn!
looks like everybody here sees. She's very subtle, but you see that just the way she kind of like her back straightens. She kind of like flips one crossed leg over the other one. Just kind of like takes a moment to steady herself. It's one of those things where it rings too true on her. She has a clear reaction to what he says, and she goes, "I've heard of such things existing in Paradel before. They're highly illegal, and certainly could be prosecuted. They could be persecuted if word would get to the right persons. Unfortunately, the persons around you seem to be on the agitator's payroll."
The one that was...
Understands this, Ilin, she says, kind of talking over you. Understand this, Ilin. They broke the law. You acted in self-defense, an actual case that one might be able to use in the courts of Paradel. You might be a fugitive from them, but only because you haven't had a proper trial. If you wanted to, you could probably go back, get proper representation, and successfully win that outcome. You would actually be exonerated for whatever crimes you've been
I can't go back.
whatever, you know what I'm saying?
And he is almost bowling at this. Just
I would put my hand on his shoulder, and I'd say,
Accused, thank
"You
you.
don't have to."
thank you.
She does give a look to one while he's kind of like distracted, maybe his hands in his face or whatever it is, steadying himself. She does give a look to one that kind of like says, "Talk later." And she says, "I do apologize, Ilin. I know I pressed, but only because all of us here need to be able to trust one another. I've been very fortunate in my ability to garner such trust so quickly. That is a flaw that I do not have."
If I'm sure you'll find out what I'm not telling you. I'd just rather not be the one to say it.
She nods. Kithul simply says, ooh, get that voice going. I had a couple of others I fiddled with. I also fiddled with this one as well. I wasn't sure, and then I was like, yeah, I like this one. I like the other one better. But here, let me do this one. Ready?
You need not worry, Ilin, while you are in Kurzfall.
That's
You will always
unintelligible.
be
It's so hard to
Guys,
understand.
yeah, this is what it's supposed to be.
Jesus.
Funny thing about this one has this as background noise. Hello.
Every time he talks, it's just like tribal.
Just whoa, 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 whoa. I'm like,
You know what it sounds
Like Jumanji.
It sounds like the really deep Animal Crossing characters.
I have a Wawa as well, but back to Kithul. Ilin, as long as you are inside Kurzfall, behind its walls, or just amongst its people, you will be under our protection. You need not worry about Paradel forces. They have miles of forest and lands that will be unkind to them before they even get sight of you. And there will be many that will lay down their lives to stop them from getting hands on you. You are safe. You are here, you are among friends. I did not have the opportunity to witness what had transpired in Hard Gwen with yesterday's situation. However, word had already gotten to me about what had transpired to the south and again to the southeast. You are a hero, and you will be seen and treated as such by our people.
Thank you. I hope I can live up to that.
Cool. And with that, since I think that ends the council meeting, unless there's anything else you guys wanted to do.
I think so.
I needed to ask.
Oh, you do the quick little Ravina thing before we take our break. What did you need to ask?
I needed to ask Nathan. I just look over to him and say, Nathan, maybe tomorrow or this evening, would you accompany me to the Mountain Keep? I may need your assistance in speaking with Athena.
He will say,
What's Athena?
Yes, I believe we could do that.
Thank you.
Uh-oh, Neil, he got to him first. What are you gonna do, Neil? Oh, it looks like you gotta wait. I hope that's not getting bad. All right, moving on. So, just to read it.
It's turned green.
As the,
Better than yellow, right?
As the council, as the council ends or whatever, and maybe like Ravina is getting together her things, other people can get the impression that, like, you guys know each other well enough. It's like, oh, she's clearly fixing all of her paperwork before she leaves. Tap, 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 tap. So they all kind of like filter out, and her and one stay behind. I don't know if Rayrin stays behind as well or not.
Ilan would actually want to go talk with Kithul.
Sure. So while you step outside and everything.
Yeah.
Yep. She'll actually stop and speak with one really quickly. Let's assume Rayrin left because he didn't say anything either way.
Yeah, Rayrin just gives her a look, which, because he knows she's good at reading people, is that you haven't earned our trust yet.
Yeah,
It's funny because I was thinking the same thing. If you thought that we trust you,
there's a reason why she keeps saying
properly.
She's the reason why she keeps saying that stuff, though. It's because she's more or less saying, "I know." So, anyways, so moving on. She stops and speaks to you and says, "Chosen of the Blade. What Ilan said earlier, his admittance of, I suppose, a guilt of a crime, even though, again, I truly believe that he would be able to win such a case and be exonerated for the accusations or whatnot. I think that's actually a good thing. Clearly, he's not in a mental state, and she says almost annoyed. Clearly, he's not in a mental state to process and deal with this now. We don't know what the hell happens. I'm sure, I don't know, he stubbed his toe on the way out or something. But if he's actually able to be seen as a non-criminal, beyond that, as a first-class citizen over there in Manel, that could be beneficial. How many of our council members here, how many of our citizens here can freely walk in and out of Paradel without some bounty on their head? I mean, I'm just thinking of the perspective of somebody who is always looking for means of gleaming information from those beyond our borders. It could be a good asset in the future. Just something to think about.
I understand. However, cannot force him to do what he does not want. It will be good to find out what went on and his circumstance for leaving.
She nods. She says, and I wouldn't suggest forcing. I understand that that's not necessarily the way that you guys do things unless you happen to worship Lady Aravel. But he, I mean, he might be able to be coerced, depending on those circumstances. If I have permission, which it sounds like you just gave, I'd like to look into this further, both what crimes he's accused of, the degrees of punishment that can be delivered for such crimes, and more so, how long he has to act in his own defense before he's assumed guilty. Because the way that the Perrin do things, if you don't defend yourself within a certain time frame, it's assumed guilt. So you can't just like run away and hide from the courts and then just, oh, well, I just never got tried yet. That would be a stupid justice system.
Yeah, well, I mean, he kind of gave you permission himself, so.
Did he?
Well, you said that, we'll find out, which we will. And he said it's better you finding out and saying it than he didn't wish to speak of it.
She nods. Well, I'll look into it.
As for the coercion, though, why don't we just watch him? He seems like a genuinely good person. So let's just wait and see what we find out and what he has to say, if he wishes to say anything at all.
I understand, of course, and it's not my place to do such coercions without the explicit direction from the two of you, but I just...
We should know about the hero. Anyway, there's something... he's going to be important in especially cleansing the land of the remains of the curse. So we should know everyone we work with. And that is also why we should know more about this Birdman.
Oh.
Do you have your tasks?
Of course. I'll see to the north. It'll be easier to get over those borders, I imagine, than the south. But I'll send persons to the south. They'll stop by Harrod and move their way to... Did he say what city he's from? I mean, I understand his accent suggests he grew up in an actual city as opposed to in a rural area. And it definitely suggests he grew up in Bard, the province of Bard. But I don't know what city he's from.
I don't know either. Maybe you should ask him, though. Show him that, even though we're looking into things, we're not doing so secretly.
We're not? She says, genuinely surprised.
Not from him, anyway.
That might slow things down.
It might speed things up. If you ask him and he tells you where he's from.
We will blunt through it then, she says. And she says, and says, I appreciate you spending the extra time. As for...
Before you go, do you know a bit more about what he was talking about? You suggested a faction taking Perrin citizens as slaves. Is this something you're familiar with?
Rumors, stuff that you hear when you're hiding in the underbellies and whatnot of Paradel. It's things that come across, and sometimes you pursue, sometimes you don't.
Do you want me to roll?
Yeah, that might almost be why I rolled.
Yeah, he did not sense motive. Oh, there you go. Here we go. The nugs of information.
Ravina.
Too late. It's too late. The other roll.
I don't believe you allow us to do it. No. I don't think you allow us to do it after we know whether it will succeed or fail. So why can you get to do it?
Oh, that's a very fair point from young Tess.
I do when they're open rolls, because you can see that it's an open roll.
You didn't know the DC, so you didn't roll it until you knew the DC.
There you go.
I was about to say, do we get to?
What a waste of resources.
Ravina, you're very well spoken. And if you haven't picked this up yet, you are off to a bad start. You can't lie to me, and you should stop trying. Please. I'll give you another
Then let
chance.
me be blunt, she says, interrupting you. You have your past, I have mine. She grabs her books, she grabs like the supplies she has and starts walking out of the room.
I'll take note of it.
We need the spy to look into the spy.
Dwayne?
We have a job for him finally. She took his job. He can look out into her past.
Dwayne's like, but thought I was just gonna get to hang out in the Capitol. And it's like,
She took his job. She became his job.
oh, then look at that. You could be an American movie producer, entertaining the least witted.
In a world.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, well, I think I have one of those. Hold on. I think we'll have to go pee, and I know you wanted to have your. Here we go.
I got to play
In a world where
Yeah, there was a play I did in high school where it was like a horrible dating thing where it had two normal characters going on horrific dates, and I got to play one of the dates who was a person who could only speak in that voice. In a world where you would like to order the pasta or the lasagna. It was so much fun.
That's pretty funny, actually. I always appreciate when you spoofs like that. You said you wanted to have a question really quickly before we go and take our break, sir. You want to talk to Kithel?
Yes. So Ilan would Kithel. Thank you first of all. You said you were going to work on a brewery. I have some skill in alchemy and herbalism. If you would like help, I'd understand if you'd rather do it on your own. But if you'd like help, I'd like an opportunity to do something normal.
you would like to work with me in the development of recipes,
Yes, if you're okay with that.
you are hired. Truth be told, I have had Glugmug chopping at the bit ever since I made mention of this at one of the council meetings in the past.
Oh no, Glugmug, I'm so sorry.
I do have to say that while I appreciate his enthusiasm, I don't know if I want his, we will say, expertise in this matter. Have you ever had Glugmug before?
No, I don't believe I have.
The stuff they brag about tastes like piss.
Well, that stuff has
Oh.
its uses.
Sounds like they're American.
Excuse me.
Actually, some craft
Excuse me,
ale from
excuse me,
America is
excuse
very
me.
nice.
American craft beers are literally leading the world in craft beers. Thank you. You look at the top.
I
20
already
beers.
said that. All right,
Yeah,
I
the
just
top
said that.
20 worldwide beers. You got like 15 of them are American.
I love how he can make a joke and then go back on it. You're still just like, how dare you?
Yeah. You don't make that joke, mother fluffer. You don't make that joke. I like my beer. Moving on. Continue, Tesh.
Yes, I would really appreciate that. Thank you.
Of course, all help in matters would be appreciated, especially when it gives a degree of... He leans in. I don't think you understand. My
It's
position...
going to be a billboard with Ilan's face with Heroes Brew.
Oh no!
The stuff heroes are made of.
Oh god.
My position and Retrock's position means that we work closely together day in and day out. And while I will say that Retrock is genuinely a kind person that is certainly good for a few chuckles, he does not have an off switch. And so therefore is just Retrock from when you wake till when you sleep, and certainly is by your side throughout most of that day.
I understand.
I don't
He
think
actively
you do
like.
yet.
he perks up because this is the most normal conversation he's probably had in a long time. And even Kith, like, I don't know whether Kithel's very observant or not, but anyone would be able to see that he's much livelier with this conversation than he has been in a while.
Beautiful.
And then we can just put the rest of the RP of going over flavors and stuff off camera.
Gotcha. And your character, you never tried to speak like Terran to him or anything like that, did you?
No, I can't speak Terran.
Oh, good. All right, and I think that is that. We'll actually take a break.
We finally get a break now.
Well, you were talking, kind of. We're just gonna blame Neil. Hashtag blame Neil. You know what I'm saying? All right, so we'll be right back. And thank you, everybody.
The hashtag is blame Scott.
No, I'm pretty sure chat says blame Neil. Chat, blame Neil?
It's not. It's blame Scott.
Shut up, Neil.
Hashtag blame Scott. Hashtag blame.
See, I see
Scott.
blame Neil.
Anno doesn't count. He's just
second.
salty because I beat him to death multiple times in Mod Heavy.
What was that? What just happened there? Don't even know. That was a little cray-cray. But, yeah, your sword's still there. Calm down, buddy.
Damn.
I trust me, I keep your sword rock solid in your hands. All right, so
let's go for a break.
Let's go for a break. We'll see everybody shortly. Thank you, everybody, so much for the support. Super love it. When we come back, we're going to have some more fun conversations, meeting Mog, meeting Birdman, Joey, and maybe talking finally to the bird and the elementals.